stressed out because of your homework? Well, did you know that 1 in 5 college students actually has anxiety or depression? And is it really surprising considering how much American public schools have in common with 19th century factory work? Not even kidding. Like, for example, 30-minute lunch breaks, mass-producing results, no time for joy, etc. Despite the flaws of the American educational system, very few changes are being made to improve it, despite there being countries with better systems like Finland. Today I'm going to talk to you about how standardized testing and homework negatively impacts student health and learning, some possible solutions to both, and potentially positive outcomes. Let's begin with the problems of standardized testing and homework. According to Stiggins, Sage Journals 2002, our current assessment system is hurting huge numbers of students because it basically gives out punishments and rewards to try to force and intimidate students and teachers to do better. It's kind of like holding a gun to a student's head and saying your entire life depends on your grades. As such, students can develop a lot of anxiety to do well on these tests and depression if they do not. Because as many of you might know already, if you fail one test, like your grade plummets like nothing else. I just learned that last week, actually. That's true. As for homework, according to Baines, Phi Delta Japan 2008, America leads the world in assigning homework, about 140 minutes of math homework per week. Despite this extra workload, American students post very poor math scores as compared to their Korean counterparts, which consistently score better math scores despite being assigned about 20 minutes less of homework. This clearly shows that assigning more homework is not necessarily going to help academic achievement and can actually harm it instead. Now that you know some of the problems with standardized testing and homework, let's look at the solutions via Finland. According to Ravitch, Basic Books 2016, test score pressures lead to a narrowing of the curriculum so that teachers begin to teach to the test. Finland only has one standardized test at the end of high school to prevent that. Basically, in the US, teacher salary is very, very closely tied to students' test scores, so teachers experience a lot of pressure to have their students do well on their tests because their careers literally depend on it. Finland doesn't have that sort of pressure because, as previously mentioned, they only have one test, so they can focus more on actually teaching students lessons they need for life instead of preparing them to take some test. As for homework, I think that was that one, huh? Yep. As for homework, Finland, according to Jackson, Business Insider 2015, Finland has very, very little homework, about 2.8 hours per student per week, whereas American students spend about 6.1 hours per week. Basically, the Finnish educational system respects their students' rights to be students, to be young people, and gives them time to do things that they enjoy, like being with their families, doing hobbies, etc. Whereas America doesn't. Now that you know some of the solutions to these problems, let's look at the outcomes. According to Hancock, Smithsonian Magazine 2011, Finland has about a 93% high school graduation rate versus the US, which only has about a 75% high school graduation rate. Clearly, assigning less tests and not just constantly testing students produces some pretty awesome outcomes, such as a higher high school graduation rate. As for homework, according to Coulson, Daily Telegraph 2014, there are no actual academic benefits to homework, but there are, however, correlations between time spent on homework and increased rates of anger, anxiety, depression, and mood disorders in students. Needless to say, perhaps assigning less homework or no homework will produce some positive results, such as a reduction in anger, depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. Now you know a little bit more about the potential positive outcomes of these solutions. Today I talked to you about the problem that US standardized testing and homework has on student health and learning, some possible solutions to both looking at Finland, and potentially positive outcomes. For more information on this topic, I recommend watching the movie Waiting for Superman, which deals exclusively with the American educational system, because despite the flaws of the American educational system, very few changes are being made to improve it, despite there being other options, such as Finland's system. Thank you, and I hope you learned something.